Okay, sorry for the late start. We're going to do some observation. We're setting up our equipment up here. We're going to observe the spectrum of hydrogen and the spectrum of helium and a few other things. But before we do that, I have a few comments to make. First of all, concerning iClicker troubles. And I've gotten a bunch of messages. I think Darianne has gotten some messages, and some of you have emailed me about it. Apparently, the iClicker registration is not working for anybody on campus, and they've located the problem. It's this, and I think a few of you kind of twigged to that using, let's see, Byram, or one of the students anyways, figured it out. Some security setting, at least on a Windows Surface, the security settings in options and stuff are blooped up because of this. The SSL certificate for the URL of the iClicker LTI site has been revoked, which I don't really understand what that means, except I do know that it means trouble and that it's not working. And we've had this trouble before using Internet Explorer, especially if that's your browser. You have to go in and fix the security settings and stuff like that and permit stuff. But it's not working for anybody. And I'm actually kind of interested in the people that used their phones yesterday or Tuesday and did you get a little feedback screen that listed the number, your serial number, and it's, after you did that, it's just a blank screen.
Well, when I did it through my phone, it just showed my number, and then it said, like, click to remove the number, like, after, like, I, registered it. So,
all right.
like the date that you registered. Yeah.
It does?
Yeah, it shows that.
So now here's the problem. That shouldn't even be working. I have no idea why that's. What's your last name again?
Oliphant.
O-L?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check after class. Anyways, I've called up a few friends to help, and we're going to prevail in rapid order. So be patient. That's all I can say. And the reason that I set the official start of iClicking to the Tuesday after Labor Day is for stuff like this. This is a particular problem that's come up with iClicker that we haven't encountered before, an SSL certificate revoked. But there's been other things that have made it, the registration page a pain in the you-know-what. So we're going to get it squared away. We shall prevail. And hopefully soon. All right. Now nobody's going to suffer grade-wise because of this. So just keep bringing we'll be able to click in class, and I'll have your data. As soon as you do get registered and stuff, I'll know that if you clicked today or Tuesday, as soon as this registration snafu is fixed, I'll know that you clicked Tuesday and today. So don't worry about that. And we'll be doing bonus points based on early iClicker registration, as I mentioned. Okay, question up here. Young lady on the aisle. Yes, please.
I got my work right before class. I got it.
Did you get the little feedback? All right. I didn't try synchronizing the roster. If we dismiss a few minutes early today, I'll try it again. Anyways, thanks for letting me know. Did you have a question?
So all we can do at the moment is wait?
Wait, yeah, all you can do at the moment is wait, and I'll give you the signal in web courses, and I'll say, all right, it should be working. And then everybody stampedes and gets it done. It's a pain in the neck but once everything does get registered, it works really nice. So that's why I say, if Just be patient. All we have to do is wait. Question in the back. It said what? Yeah. Unfortunately, what's your last name? Repeat? Watson with a W? All right, I'll check it after. Oliphant and Watson. I'll check you guys after. I was synchronizing the roster a couple times last night, and people that said that, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't working that night, but it might be working now. They may have already fixed it. But the people that last night said that they had registered, they weren't on the roster yet. So as of like about 10 o'clock last night, anyways, it wasn't working. But it might be working now. Question.
I was going to say for the phone, because I did it during class on Tuesday. It was with the app, the Canvas app.
Yeah.
I have Android. I don't know if it would also be.
Yeah. So one of the successful methods is to use the Web Courses app on an Android phone. And whether that works on an iPhone, I don't know. Question.
For like discussions that were posted on web courses,
Yeah.
with that one solution where it lists those steps, how did you do that on the Mac?
I don't know. The question was, in discussions in our Web Courses area, there's a big. Ashley, are you here? Ashley W. Are you in this section? She started it. I think it was a girl named Ashley. Anyways, a big long thread, and another student, like about 6 o'clock last night, figured it out for Surfaces and Microsoft Internet Explorer, but I don't know how to do it. On a Mac, I don't know. Safari's always been a pain in the what.
Yeah.
And the real problem is I can't. They give me a fake student or a test student account, but it doesn't work like a real student in every feature. For instance, I can't sign up at iClicker, and so I would be able to troubleshoot this if I did have a real student account, but I don't. So how it's going to work on a Mac? I suggested to a couple people go to the library. That should work, but apparently it's not working for anybody except for I don't know. What I have a feeling is your registrations are floating around in the buffer of some server in Ohio or something where the iClicker company has its server, but hopefully it'll get cycled in as soon as So we're gonna get it sorted out. Another question, one more, and then we'll continue. Okay, what we're going to do now, start taking notes. We're going to look at hydrogen through a small diffraction grating. That's what it looks like. We're going to start handing them out. Could you help Darian hand these out? And Darian, could you give one to me? And just take them out. Just hand them out in bunches. All right. Now, thanks, dear. Young lady, what's your first name? Julia. Okay, just hand them out in bunches. Don't count them out. Just hand them out, just like yesterday. Hand them out in bunches, and then if everybody in your row has one, pass it back. Now, what you're looking at here, it looks like a slide for a slide projector, but with a clear plastic. It's not totally clear. There's actually little fine dark lines photocopied onto it. They're so fine you can't make them out with your eyeball. But if you get this and hold it up to the lights in the room here, you'll be able to see rainbows. All right. Now I'm going to turn off the the display, and let's see if I can do this. All right, that's no good. Let me turn off this whole thing. Let me pause the podcast. All right, and let me turn the lights down. So yeah, we're gonna be studying all that. Now this is the cover picture from the textbook. And I love this picture because it's fantastic. It shows a very complex interaction. And what you guys just, an interaction out on the football field. And what you guys just saw was hydrogen, the electron and the proton interacting in the presence of an electromagnetic field, the high voltage field. So it's not nearly as complex as this, and hydrogen is the simplest of all the elements, and that's what you were looking at. So the H alpha line, when we get all the concepts, energy, momentum, wavelength, squared away, we'll be able to tackle the hydrogen atom. It's the simplest one in nature. But before we do that, let's finish the syllabus, talk about that for a few more minutes. Okay, and a couple things I want to, and we'll get back to physics topics, and I have a Chuck Norris practice question for iClicker in just a few minutes. But let's finish up the syllabus quickly. Just a few things I want to reinforce, specifically about midterms. We've got 3 of them, and the normal method that we handle absences on midterm exam day is by keeping 2 out of the 3. And we drop the lowest, keep the best 2, and drop the lowest. Now, if you are absent, either excused or unexcused, then that's effectively a 0, and then that becomes the lowest out of 3 exams that you've taken. All right, so you want to, that's why I say it's a nice luxury for us to be there at all, for you, I should say, to be there at all 3 of the midterms, and so that way you'll be able to drop your lowest grade instead of having to be stuck with one that you don't like. And that is also why I do not give any makeup exams. So make a note of that in your notes and emphasize it. No makeup exams. We don't do an early makeup. We don't do a late makeup. We only do exams on the schedule that you have in front of you in the syllabus. Those of you that were not here Tuesday and you added between Tuesday and today, the syllabus is in web courses. You can download it as a PDF for section 1. This is section 1. The afternoon section is section 2. Now, this particular picture here, I want to show you something. This is if you look at it carefully, you'll see that there's some bad dots. I mean, look at that. On the Scantron machine, that's going to come up as like a blank, maybe. All right, here's another one. So this guy was having a bad day here. A bunch of bad dots. You definitely want to avoid doing that. So bring a good eraser. Those little pink erasers with the, from 2nd grade, the little rectangular jobs. Those are good. Just keep it in your knapsack, and you'll avoid bad dots. You don't want bad dots. All right. YouTube. This is also on the syllabus. And just quickly, I record each lecture as I'm doing right now, and after class, I post them in YouTube. Now, the Tuesday class, my schedule on Tuesday after class is really hectic. And so I'm thinking that I might not be able to upload it right after class. And this week I uploaded it into YouTube on Wednesday morning first thing. And I can't do it from my home because it takes too long. My DSL is really slow. It's pathetic. But anyways, we're recording it. And so if you do miss a lecture, you can always catch up. And if you're within the sound of my voice, you can look at YouTube and just get everything. The only thing that you can't get is Darian's smiling face and my smiling face. You hear me blabbing my big mouth and all the slides and notes, outlines, diagrams, equations from the keynote slides. So it works out pretty nicely. All right. And I'll do one for each lecture. So you guys in section 1, you could also listen to the section 2 lecture if you want. I mean, it's up there. And because sometimes I have a slightly different explanation of something or slightly different comments. So you might want to try that. Okay, bonus point activity. That's on the syllabus. And the answer is yes, we'll have some bonus point activity from time to time. One of the things that we're going to have traditionally in the last weekend, after the last regular lecture, but before final exam week actually starts, I have a big review homework, a big mega review in web courses, and I convert that into a few bonus points. Also, traditionally in the last lecture of the semester, so that I think is December 1st or 2nd, I have a big clicker review in class. So 15 or 20 questions, you'll work from a handout, and you'll use your clicker, and it works good, and that I traditionally convert into bonus points. Another bonus point activity, and this one is not in the syllabus. I forgot to put it in there, but I'll mention it verbally to you right now, and that is, if you score 75% correct on your iClicker questions for the semester, okay, you get 75% of them correct or more, you get 4 bonus points. Okay, and that's, let's see, 4 out of 250. That's, somebody's up here eating a Cliff Bar, right in front of me, boy. 0.068. 0.016. Okay, so 1.6%. It's all right. I'm just giving you the business. It's all right. It's just a little distracting. You're not in trouble. It just gives me a, you thought you were busted. No, it's all right. Just so long as you don't bring Cheetos. That might not, that would be so distracting. Anyway, so 4 points, bonus points. So that's 1.6%. That's not bad. That's a nice chunk of change. And so for that reason, when we get to the regular clicking questions, the Tuesday after Labor Day and everything's all, working and stuff, it behooves you to get as many of those correct as you can. So in class, you get participation points just because you answer, whether they're incorrect or not. But if you answer 75% of them correctly, you get 4 bonus points on the semester. Another very, very excellent bonus point activity is special study groups. And go ahead and make a note of this. I'm going to describe how they work. Special study groups usually start forming up. I form them up and you guys sign up for them after exam 2. And the reason for that is I look for students who on the first 2 midterms have averaged 90% performance. So that's like a 46 and a 44. Add them together, you get 90 out of 100, right? Or 2 45s out of 50. Or a 43 and a 47. Any kind of combination like that, 90%. What I do is I send an invitation to those students, okay, who on midterm 1 and 2 have averaged 90%. Okay, that's an A. Now, I normally don't give a letter grade on a test, but if I were, those 2 tests would average out to an A. And the student, I spell out what the special study group leader has to do, and then they decide if they want to be one or not. And nobody's required to be. You're doing me a favor, and every semester in a big class like this, There's one or two that say, Dr. B, I really don't have time in my schedule because I work at Disney and whatever, whatever the reason is, and so I really can't do special study groups. And that's all right. No skin off your nose. No skin off my nose. It's all right if you don't want to do it. Then when we get all those guys organized, the leaders organized, they tell me when and where they want to have their session. Students sign up. And we do that inside web courses. And it's really, you have to be really fast. It's first come, first served, and the spaces go fast. And we never have enough special study groups so that everybody can join. So there's always going to be some people that, might want to get a special study group and don't because, they didn't get to sign up fast. Anyway, so the students sign up, they attend the special study group, they sign in at the special study group. This is a picture, by the way. See if there's my cursor. This is one of my students, Lindsay. Let's see, a year ago. She was a special study group leader. And you know what? She went and took, and she got an A in that class. And she went and last spring took Astronomy 2002. That's GEP Astronomy with me. And she crushed that. So she was a good student. Anyway, so they sign in. Now what the special study group leaders do, they have a 1-hour session on campus somewhere. So it could be one of the study rooms at the library or, up in one of the study areas in the student union, or maybe you want to meet at Chick-fil-A or, various places, or one of the study rooms at Hercules or over by the arena somewhere. And it goes for 1 hour, and you have 6 students. The maximum amount of students in the special study groups is 7 students that sign up, and then 1 study group leader. So a total of 7. And this picture, there's 6 in the picture. I don't know where the 7th person was, but anyway, then they do the same thing again before the final. So you do the first one to prepare for exam 3. And then you do another SSG session before the final. Okay, so that's a total of 2 SSG sessions. And you've got to take attendance. The students will sign in. And then you have to give me the sign-in sheet. And then those students will get their bonus points. Oh, did I say bonus points? Yeah, you get 4 bonus points. Another 4, so that's another 1.6% for each special study group that you attend. Okay, now that's if you're one of the 6 students, all right? And you can do it before exam 3, and you can do it again before the final, if you can get a space, all right? And so that is so that's 12. What's 12 out of 250? That's almost 12 out of 250. 4 that's almost 5. 4.8%, sweet. Okay, 0.048. So that's a nice chunk of change, and that may just be just what you need to go over the borderline from a high C to a B, right? Because you need points to do that, and bonus points will do that. Now, another thing about bonus points from special study groups, they never go away. If you earn them, you keep them. The only way that you can lose a bonus, well, you can't lose a bonus point. That's it. You just can't. Okay, a bonus point like that, and there'll be a few. And like if we do normally we do early iClicker bonus, early iClicker registration bonus, 1 point per day or 1 point per lecture, and those don't disappear. And the bonus points that you get from SSG or the big mega review, you can think of attaching those to your final exam score because everybody takes that. So you might. Go to special study group for exam 3, but I don't attach those to your exam 3 grade because that might be the exam grade that you drop. Okay, you might go with exam 1 and exam 2, but you don't lose those bonus points. So just think of them as stacking up onto your final exam grade, and that much easier for you on final exam day. Now, what do the special study group leaders get? If they do all this, they hold the first session, take attendance, and hand me the attendance sheet. Do the second session, take attendance, hand me the attendance sheet. You're allowed to skip the final. Anybody in favor of that? Yeah, I guess. And yeah, so you're not required to skip the final. And you know, a few years ago, not too long ago, Nitro was in this class. And when we were meeting in the mathematical sciences building down the base in the big subterranean lecture hall, and Nitro sat a couple rows up on the right, and he came up to me after class, you know, third or fourth lecture. He said, "Don't tell anybody, Dr. B, but I'm Nitro." I said, "What?" "Yeah, man, I'm, you know, at the games and stuff." And is this supposed to be a secret who Nitro is? Yeah. But he told me, but you know, he took so he eventually was a special study group leader, and he took the final and crushed it. I mean, he was, whew, what a Nitro. I mean, he crushed everything in his path. I mean, so yeah, if you're a special study group leader, and you want to take the final, you know, we have people do it every semester. So anyway, so this is one of the more important bonus point areas. And so I'll announce it as we go if there's a bonus point opportunity beyond these that I've just mentioned to you. Any questions before I continue? Yes?
How would you calculate skipping the final? What would be in place of that?
If you're a special study group leader, okay, then your grade is not based on 250, it's based on 150, since you don't have to take the final. So figure out 90% of 150. Okay, that's 135. Okay, and then 75% of 150. That would give you a B. Most of the special study group leaders, you know, matter of fact, I've never had a special study group leader that didn't get an A. Miss Darien started out as a special study group leader. And one of the best of all time. I mean, she broke many world records when she was at SSG, and now she just continues to do it as a TA. But yeah, it's based on 150, so don't worry about that. I mean, we got that squared away. All right, let's talk about homework and clicking percentage, or clicking pointage. Now, everybody gets 25 points on your semester grade for clicking, and 25 points on your semester grade for homework. But we're going to have way more than 25 clicking questions this semester, and way more than 25 homework questions. So how do we do that? Well, the homework pointage just comes straight percentage out of how well you do on the homework. Now, traditionally, I have a homework assignment, and you get 4 attempts. Okay, so you can get a pretty good grade. You do the first attempt, and you might have a low grade. Then you go study the notes or talk to your study partner and try it again. And then by the end of 4 attempts, hopefully you have all the points. Okay, and do that for the rest of the semester. And so here's an example of how that would work. If we have 113 questions in the homework for the semester, and you've answered 100, or if you've answered 92 correctly, all right, so go ahead and jot this down. That means that your performance is 81.4%. You've had 81.4% correct. Now, to get your pointage, so you're not going to get 113 points or even 92. You're not going to get 92 points on your semester grade. It's going to be 25 or fewer. So how do we figure out that? Well, you just take that percentage and multiply by 25. So go ahead and jot this down. 0.814 times 25 points. And you work that out, it's 20.35 points. And then what I do in the spreadsheet is I round that up to the nearest whole. I round it up, always up. Notice that this one, if I were rounding to the nearest whole number, I'd round it to 20. But if you're rounding up, it's 21. So that's what you get, 21 out of 25. And many of you will have a 21 out of 25 this way by the end of the semester, or higher. A lot of you will have 25 out of 25. Homework is easy money. I mean, you got to work for it, but it's not easy money, but it's pretty easy. Clicking. We'll do that next. Anyways, 21 goes into your semester point total. So your exams go straight in. Those don't have to be converted. So if you get 44 out of 50 on a midterm, that goes into your semester point total. But homework goes in this way. You'd go 21 into your semester point total. Right now, let's take a look at clicking. Now, a couple concepts to go over before we do the clicking. Exam attendance is mandatory, but regular lecture is not. All right? And so that's why if you miss lecture, you don't have to come up and say, well, here's my doctor's note, Dr. B. It's not necessary. Because you're participating, because everything is on YouTube. So you can always get, I mean, unless you're like totally, one of those full body casts in the hospital, you can't get into YouTube, but hopefully you can get into YouTube if you're feeling poorly or quarantined or something like that. So what we do is we build in a leeway factor so that if you have 1 or 2 absences in the semester, you're not going to be TOAST, toast. Right, so here's how it works. You have to answer 85% of all the lecture questions in the semester. And if you do that, you get all 25 points. So that means, if I ask, I don't know, 200 clicker questions, and you're here for 170 of them, that's a couple lectures. You're not here for 30 of the questions, but you answer the other 170, you're good, 25 points. So here's how it works. If you have more than 85% answered, then you get 25 out of 25 in your semester grade point total. But if you're fewer than that, then we scale it proportionally. And the way that we do that is explained, it goes by a proportion that I mentioned in the syllabus. And I've put a talking PDF file in web courses for you to look at. And actually, the talking PDF in web courses has the entire semester grade. So for John Q student, and it's an example. So it has 3 midterms, and we drop one of them. It has a final. It has some homework, and it has some clicking. And then we put it all or I put it all together into a semester grade. And you can look at that talking PDF in web courses. So let me just show you what that looks like. Here's what it looks like. You may have already looked at it. When you click it open in Adobe Acrobat Reader, it's going to look like this. Let me focus in here. It lights up a website, livescribe.com/player. And if you click that, it will take you to a website where you can actually play the audio. And it works really nicely. Raise your hand if you've already tried that with the, okay, one guy, 2. Okay, the rest of you, go ahead and try it. It works really good. And I'll be using that in lecture when we do, when we work out a Newton's 3 laws problem on the document camera up here. I'll do it with a talking PDF, and you'll be able to look at it and hear me narrating and stuff. So it looks pretty good. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Here's the bottom of the page. It's just a 1-pager, and it's all worked out. And so you can listen to me discuss the calculation as I write. It's really slick. I really like it. I just learned how to use it over the semester. It's a smart pen. I use a smart pen, if you've ever had one of those. All right, now questions about that? Clicking pointage and homework pointage. Any questions? Yeah, question.
Is the homework typically on like what's in the book or what's in the lectures?
Is the homework going to be what?
Like typically what's in the book or what's in the lectures?
Both. But and I'm not trying to be a jerk off, a pain in the neck, But the book is meant to be read, and it even sounds like my lectures. Okay? But lectures have priority. All right? So I don't always mention every single word in the textbook when I'm giving a lecture. So lecture has priority. All right? And if you think about it, there's a million things that I could talk about in any lecture. And I have to make an executive decision about what's the most important stuff for that day. And that decision means I talk about certain things that I think are important, and then other stuff over here, not so important, I leave that off the lecture. Okay? So the homework will always be about the stuff that's in lecture, and therefore the stuff that I think is most important. And hopefully the textbook will amplify and enrich that. Okay? They're meant to go together. Okay, so lecture is priority 1, and textbook is priority 1A. Think of it that way. Another question. All right, clicking question. Let's do a clicking question. Just for practice. So if you just got your clicker, you can let me start it. We're on frequency AA. So hold your power. If you're not on AA, if it doesn't say go, who got the message go nitro? Okay, if you got go nitro, you're good. All right. If you're not getting the go nitro, hold the power button until the square flashes, and then type in AA. This is basically what you want to do. Type in AA. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds, then press AA. All right? Yeah, it's going to operate here in just a second. Here we go. Okay, you can now vote for your biggest fan. And we're going to start having regular physics questions after next week, but this one's just a goofy question, just so you can see how the clickers work. So type in the letter A, B, C, or D, and you don't have to hit the send bar. It'll just go in.
You don't have to?
No. For multiple choice, just click it, and in she goes. And I'll eventually show you guys how to do calculations and stuff. And then you have to hit the send key. Okay, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, let's see what you guys voted for here. Whoa, I guess you guys are hungry. A bunch of people voted for French fries. Who voted for E? Oh, nice going. Oh, Lord, everybody. Okay, it's all right. We're just messing around with this today. Let's keep talking about this picture. And now we're going to actually talk about some physics. So this is regular physics notes. We're done with the syllabus. The title of my textbook is Interactions. This is the cover photo for that reason. And everything in the universe is interacting. It's kind of an interesting thing to think about. I mean, look at this picture. Just look at it for a second. Do you understand what's going on in this picture? I mean, I kind of don't. I mean, something's happening because those guys are, they're in it. They're blazing. But for instance, go ahead and write this question down. Where's the football? Is it even in the photo? I can't see it. But that's a question. You're looking at the physical universe and you're trying to ask questions and find answers for them. Here's another question. Which team is on offense? Which one is on defense? I mean, you see a lot of guys interacting there, You even say some raindrops and splashes of mud interacting. But which one is defense? So you're the observer. You're looking at this, and this is a photo. You're looking at a photo. So this is an instant of time that you're looking at. And this is you up here maybe, up in the stands. Okay, right up here. Okay? Or maybe you're right next to the photographer. You're looking at it from this angle. And so what you really want to be able to determine, if you're at the game, which team is going to win. Okay? That is a matter, that's actually a good thing. Which team will win? That is a question that you would answer by getting a number. What number? The two scores. The score of the white shirts and the score of the red shirts. Okay, so make a note of that. This question has to be answered with a number, a set of numbers, a pair of numbers. And just like, telling the direction and speed of an object will, how fast is it going? That's a speedometer number. What direction is it going? 45 degrees northeast. That tells you where it's heading. That allows us, questions like that, allow us to predict a future state. So we not only want to predict in the instance of a football game, who's going to win, what's the future state of the score of red shirts and white shirts. We want to predict, a scientist wants to predict the future state of, for instance, sending something to the moon. If I want to land something on the Sea of Tranquility on the moon on a certain day at a certain time, then I have to lift off from Kennedy with a certain amount of rocket fuel and a certain amount of oxygen for the astronauts, a certain amount of food, and a good stout space capsule, and everything else. I've got to be able to predict that. What will it take to get from point A down here in the lower part of the image, right here, to point B up here? All right? So let's look at some of the questions a scientist might ask. This is on page 9 of the introduction. For instance, is there a plan or a pattern in what the observer sees? Now, in this one, this is what we would call a ballistic arc. This is the path of a baseball or a cannonball shot out of a cannon. A baseball hit from the batter's box towards the outfield. A punt kicked by the punter. A football thrown by the quarterback. Ballistic arc. So the pattern for this, nobody figured it out until Galileo. Galileo is the one that figured it out. The pattern is a parabola. Let me spell that for you. Parabola. P-A-R-A-B-O-L-A. Parabola. A parabola. And we'll go into that in the textbook, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday a little bit more. Yeah, that's the pattern. Nobody knew that it was that a cannonball followed the path of a parabola, a baseball, football. Driving a Ferrari off a cliff goes the other direction from high to low. So here's another question: is there a clear interaction of the physical objects that he observes? Oh my goodness! Think about that football picture. Whoa, there's a lot of interacting going on, but boy, it sure wasn't clear to me. You could tell that stuff was happening, but man. Now, think about this little old baseball here. Let's just think of this as a ballistic arc of a baseball heading up to the top of its path. All right? Is that interacting with something? All those football players were interacting, and hopefully all the interactions work out so that the offense gets a first down or a touchdown even. All right? So you want to try to understand your interactions. What's the baseball interacting with that produces this ballistic path? Very difficult question. And the person that answered this question you all know as Sir Isaac Newton. And he figured out, the law of gravity, universal gravitation. So that's the interaction, the gravitational interaction. And we want to know as many of those interactions as we can and try to figure out how they work. Question number 3, what will be the future state of the things that he sees? Future state of the football game is the score. That's what he really cares about. Or, how much yardage? Does he get a first down? That's a future state. This particular play. And after 40 plays, you'll be able to figure out who won the game. So for instance, in this particular path, if he starts down here at the bottom, see where I wrote down t equals 0.00 seconds? How much time does it take to get up here to point B? T equals question mark. Yeah, we want to be able to do that. And then a fourth kind of a question is, how do I communicate that to another scientist or to a regular civilian that's not a scientist? Okay, that's a set, two things that a scientist has to communicate to his co-scientists, his colleagues, and to regular civilians that might not be a scientist. So for a scientist, he might write down this fancy-looking equation. We'll be in that next week. That's one of the equations that describes the parabola that the baseball follows. There's another equation that goes with it. Now, don't worry about that equation. You can jot it down and just jot it down as a cool-looking equation. And there's a lot of interesting concepts in this particular equation. And so these 4 questions are some of the 4 main questions that a scientist has to answer. He has to ask, and then he has to try to dig out an answer, form an answer. And that's the kind of things that we're going to be trying to get to the bottom of. And basically what we want to do is find a reliable answer to those questions. The guy that figured out or set the standard for a reliable and acceptable answer is Galileo, about 400 years ago. And Galileo, about 400 years ago, he was pretty insistent. Very interesting guy. I've spent a couple years reading about Professor Galileo. We are in this class because of Galileo. He started the whole thing. And so, in a way, you can say that we're his students. And I am his student. And Sir Isaac Newton was his student in the school of Galileo. Now, here's the critical statement, the most important statement for us about what we see. What does the observer see? Philosophy is written in this grand book, I mean the universe, which stands continually open to our gaze. But it cannot be understood unless one first learns to comprehend the language and interpret the characters in which it is written. So the observer sees, he's looking into this book. What is the language? It is the written language of mathematics. And its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometrical figures, without which it is humanly impossible to understand a single word of that book. Without these, one is wandering about in a dark labyrinth. And my wonderful students, that particular equation, as I will show you next week, has got triangles in it. I will show you, and you can read in the textbook, where the distance triangle shows up in that particular equation. We'll work on that next week. Now, it's time to dismiss, and because we didn't get far enough, I have to give you some bad news. No homework this weekend. I know that burns. All right, you're dismissed. No homework. I'll see you on Tuesday. Get the book, get your clicker, and then we'll see you on Tuesday. But no Cheetos. Yes, you do.
This is really far in advance, but since I get extra time on the midterms,
Wait a minute. You